Welcome back to Donington Park in Leicestershire alongside East Midlands Airport, and it's time to take a look at the grid lineup for round 17 of the Green Flag MSA British Touring Car Championship. It sees the two best qualifiers together on the front row once again, James Thompson on pole and Matt Neal alongside in the Honda. Rob Collard's brilliant effort puts him third ahead of Tom Chilton in another Civic Type R. Paul O'Neill is fifth, carrying 30 kilos of ballast. Alan Morrison is sixth. Top MG is Anthony Reid in seventh, just faster than Carl Breeze in the Independent Astra. Brand's Race 1 winner, Warren Hughes, is ninth, with David Leslie in his best slot of the year in 10th. Gareth Howell is enjoying his third outing in the Team Dynamics Astra, with former Atomic Kitten teammate Colin Turkington alongside. Phil Bennett is 13th ahead of Danny Buxton, then James Kay 15th ahead of Dan Eves in the Team Halfords Peugeot. Ivan Muller, championship leader, is 17th with Paul Wallace alongside, but then it's the production class pole sitter and it's Luke Hines who could wrap up the title this weekend. Tom Boardman should be second, but he's been pulled off the grid for a technical reason. Alan Blenko is in the second of the Barwell Motorsport Hondas ahead of Jim Edwards. Then Mark Fullerlove lines up alongside Michael Bentwood in the BMW. Jay Wheels is missing. Jason Hughes has had problems as well, and Richard Marsh therefore brings up the rear in the Team Varta Honda Accord. So here we go then, all set for 25 laps of the Donington Park circuit. This 1.9-mile track, a popular one with the drivers. Let's see how they get on. Oh, and a great start there from Matt Neal from the front row, and from Alan Morrison as well in the other Honda. Both Hondas getting off extremely well, but James Thompson now busily having to defend second place. Matt Neal so far in front, he can take a wide line into the first corner. Keep an eye out for Ivan Muller trying to push his way up through the order. They do make it through Redgate safely. Second place for Thompson. Great battle for third place. Rob Collard leading independents trying to get in there, and he's side by side with Paul O'Neill. He takes third place.
Brilliant driving by Rob Collard. He forced the issue there. He doesn't want to lose that third position. He worked so hard to gain on the qualifying. But a good start again for Matt Neal, as you say. He's out in front. Oh, and that's Leslie off.
David Leslie, big smash against the tyre barrier. That's on the exit of the old hairpin. Oh, that's very much the end of the race for him, so we've lost one on this first lap, and there's a marker post going in the background. Matt Neal leads, James Thompson. Carl Breeze, meanwhile, busily defending here from Warren Hughes in the mid-pack. Oh, and Bennett sideways in front of Muller. Muller's hit him. As he was sideways in front of him, Muller carries on. Bennett continues as well, and meanwhile, this is a replay.
Well, Bennett's really in the thick of action here. He just tags the back of David Leslie car with some congestion coming out of the old hairpin, and it fires Leslie off. Well, this is on board with Muller, and there's still the congestion, and suddenly he's got Bennett sideways across the front of them. He only just gets through. He could so easily have been in the gravel then.
So, Muller survives for the moment. So this is the battle for third place. Now, Collard's dropped back out of this battle. He's dropped down to 10th place by the look of it. And Reid's on the attack with O'Neill. He's made a little bit of contact into Redgate corner. Anthony Reid trying to take third. Meanwhile, David Leslie back at the pits. The two Proton boys are out. Phil Bennett there as well. There was contact between them. And there are some discussions going on down there.
Well, Phil Bennett's just working out his excuse, I think.
Meanwhile, Colin Turkington's in the pits as well. He's obviously got problems with the MG. But further back now, there is Rob Collard. He's gained a couple of places again. He's now battling for 8th place with Tom Chilton. So whatever mistake Rob Collard made on that opening lap, he's trying to make up for it. But watch out for this little battle as well. Alan Morrison between the two MGs of Anthony Reid and Warren Hughes.
Absolutely, but look at Carl Breeze, absolutely flying in the white Vauxhall Astra. He's the leading independent, and for the first time this year, he's really on the back of the leading group.
Yes, this is a good story for Carl Breeze. He could still get in the championship hunt. There's Rob Collard. Not far behind him is Gareth Howell, but coming down the inside, that's Ivan Muller. That is Muller coming from the back of the touring class grid. He got past Bennett, as we saw earlier on. He gives Collard a little bit of a nudge out there, and Muller's gradually making up ground.
Muller's made up a lot of places, remember, from the back of the grid, but he hasn't lost too much in distance to the leader, so he's still in with a chance.
Alan Morrison runs a little bit wide there. That gives Warren Hughes the chance to nudge alongside. Not quite there. Oh, and problems for Gareth Howell. So that's one of our leading independent runners in the race out. Not a feature in the championship because he's missed some. Luke Hines leads in the production class ahead of Jim Edwards. Edwards actually got the better start, but it is Hines ahead with Alan Blenko in third in class. But this is the battle for the lead. Matt Neal made a brilliant getaway. Now James Thompson is trying to make up for that rather slow start.
He is, and we're going to see a fighting James Thompson this race. He needs every point he can get from this meeting.
First of the pit stoppers, Paul O'Neill, and he was involved in that group that was all battling for third, fourth, fifth places. O'Neill has a great stop. He's on his way once again. We're still waiting for the leaders to come into the pits. 2 wheels changed. O'Neill back onto circuit. Not too much time lost. Now, let's just see how the others are getting on. O'Neill, of course, 1 race win to his credit. Oh, and Anthony Reid's in trouble. Reid has got a problem, so he's out of that battle as well. And that's a bit of a disappointment for the MG crew. Here is our race leader. It is Matt Neal, just with a few car lengths over James Thompson.
Yes, and it'll be a tactical battle now to see who decides to stop first. The other car will surely stop the following lap, and it'll be a battle of the pit crews. And it's Thompson in first.
Well, James Thompson, the reigning champion. He wrapped up his title here at Donington last year. Matt Neal is now on his own, so he can just concentrate on getting his head down and trying to put together some quick laps, or a quick lap perhaps, before he makes his pit stop. Now then, good stop there from BX Racing. Thompson's on his way, and look, he comes out as Warren Hughes comes in.
Yeah, just a small delay in the pits. If he gets stuck behind a car coming in, could make all the difference, but he had a good clean stop, as did Warren Hughes.
So Thompson's back on circuit now, and we'll just have to wait for Matt Neal to make his pit stop to see whether the positions remain the same after the stops. Here is Matt Neal then, coming towards the end of the lap. Is he going to come in this time? It looks like it. Yes, he holds it tight into the pit lane, onto the speed limit. Oh, meanwhile, Danny Buxton's taking a rather wild ride out on the grass, and he's involved in a bit of a battle here. Paul Wallace just going through, and Paul O'Neill slides past as well. But what's going on in the pits? Crucial battle at the moment. Matt Neal, there he is, changing those front tyres. Taking a little bit of time. There's a little bit of a problem on that right front.
Well, a few seconds extra in the pits, that could be all the difference, and that could put Thompson in front.
Ivan Muller's in, and he's flexing his muscles once again. Look, Thompson is ahead of Matt Neal, as you said to him. That tiny amount of time they lost, enough for him to drop to second. Muller, though, still climbing his way back up through the field, and that should bring him back out to about 6th place. So he's on to scoring some decent points here.
He is, and didn't he look relaxed in that pit stop, just stretching out his arm as his mannerism for relaxing himself in the car. He's really putting together a good drive here.
So here is Ivan Muller now ahead of Alan Morrison. So we've got Vauxhall and Honda battling up front and further down as well. But Muller trying to keep the Irishman behind him as he goes chasing after that little group of cars ahead. Warren Hughes, Paul O'Neill still ahead of him, and then of course Matt Neal and race leader James Thompson. So in terms of the championship, things still looking pretty good for James Thompson to try and close that gap to Ivan Muller. But Muller has not given up on trying to gain a few more places in this race, and Alan Morrison at the moment going with him.
Fascinating how the element of luck plays its part. Muller could so easily have been out of the race, and with Thompson leading, that would have dramatically closed up that gap. But so far, it's still all to play for.
Carl Breeze and Rob Collard, the two battling away for independent honours there, and Tom Chilton right behind as well. So Chilton trying to make up. He made a rather poor getaway, a slightly slow start, but now he's beginning to make his presence felt. And look, he's right behind Collard as they come down towards the chicane. He goes down the inside, and despite Rob Collard locking up, Chilton goes through. A little bit wide on the first part, and that gives Collard the chance to come back at him.
He's got back, but he's on the wrong side as they approach Redgate. Chilton's on the inside and should be able to hold this position easily, but there's a chance Collard could cut back inside him if he gets it just right on the exit.
So now Collard looking for the opportunity. Chilton's a little bit wide on the exit, and that does give Collard the chance to get alongside. Now this is the dauntingly fast Craner curves, flat out down here. He's slightly offline with Collard, and Chilton gets sideways. Oh, that's such a high-speed corner to be doing that, and they're still side by side.
That was great driving by both of them, fully committed down the Craners at 135 miles an hour, but giving each other room, and Chilton did well to hold the car in tight and not give Collard a bash on the exit.
Still side by side as they come up towards McLean's. It is Collard trying to get past and stay in front once again of Tom Chilton, but Chilton's not giving up at all. He's having a look up the inside into Coppice now, and again, oh, he hits the curb, almost bounces into Collard, but Collard sensibly just keeping it out wide enough to give him room.
Yeah, we've seen Rob Collard take the apex in the races before, and it's cost contact and put him out, but that time he left enough room, and they both continue. Good driving.
Yeah, so the battle for 6th place continues further back. This is the battle for 4th in the production class. Mike Bentwood versus Mark Fullerlove, and Colin Turkington, who had that problem earlier on, now trying to make his way up the order, but I don't think Turkington's going to be able to score too many points here in this first race. Now, let's take a look at this. Paul O'Neill battling with Warren Hughes, the battle for 3rd position. Vauxhall versus MG, and Warren Hughes has gone up the inside here.
We're seeing a lot, oh, there was contact, that was unnecessary, and more contact on the approach up to Coppice. that corner at McLean's, they've softened the curve on the inside, and we're seeing a lot more overtaking on that part of the track this year. But O'Neill is still well, that's totally unnecessary. They can drive in a straight line. They don't need to be bumper carring it.
No, that's right. It's all getting a bit furious between these two at the moment. They're still side by side as they come down into the chicane. O'Neill just squeezes ahead of the MG, and Warren Hughes, who won at the last race meeting, of course, at Brands Hatch, has to just drop in behind him once again. These two battling for third then. Behind them is Yvan Muller, and just look at how Muller's managed to catch up over the last couple of laps. He's rather dropped Alan Morrison, and Muller now is beginning to feature, and that VX Racing crew very aware that Muller could score some more points here if he can find a way past them. Here our race leader, James Thompson, still under threat from Matt Neal.
James had a useful little lead after the pit stop, but Matt has hunted him down and hunted him down. There's always a little bit of difference in the car's balance on new tyres and scrub tyres after the pit stop. It looks like Matt Neal's really got his car working well, and he'll be looking for that victory every bit as much as Thompson wants to hold on to it.
Here we are on board with Yvan Muller then, running in 5th place. That's Warren Hughes right ahead of us. And then Paul O'Neill again, that little flex of the right arm from Yvan Muller. He means business. He knows if he could get past these two, he could end up on the podium. What a result that would be. Meanwhile, Hughes goes down the inside of Paul O'Neill into the chicane. Now this will slow them both up. Here's a chance for Muller. He comes through between the two of them, and that's going past the MG. He jiggles in between. Now, I'm not quite sure where Paul O'Neill is. Well, he's still alongside, but Yvan Muller virtually taking both of them in one move. O'Neill's still trying to fend him off. He's got the inside line into Redgate, and so Muller's going to try and cut back on the exit.
Muller's trying to grab every opportunity he can to gain an extra place, but here he is side by side with Paul O'Neill, and let's not forget these two have had their run-ins before, but he's clearly through now, and he's taken the MG through as well.
Yes, Warren Hughes manages to get past Paul O'Neill. Meanwhile, the two leaders are even closer together as they come up towards McLean's, and Matt Neal makes a lunge. He's hit James Thompson. He's through. He's in front, although Thompson's still with him. He might try and get back across in front of him into Coppice. I'm not sure he's going to do it, though. Matt Neal's got the advantage, and Matt Neal, a robust move there. Let's take another look at it.
Well, this is looking back, and look at that. There was half a gap, and suddenly it was full of red Honda. Matt Neal saw his chance. He knew he could use that lowered curve on the apex, and he just threw the car up there. A great pass.
And what a time to do it as well. Almost within sight of the checker flag. The closing stages at the race. Matt Neal has timed this move to perfection, and he's just now got to defend a little bit from James Thompson to wrap up the victory. Thompson has a think about it at the chicane, but Matt Neal has everything blocked off, and it is Matt Neal that's going to take victory, to the delight of the Honda Racing crew. Matt Neal wins. James Thompson has to settle for second place. In the production class, it's a good win for Luke Hines, almost wrapping up the title for him, not quite yet. And what a drive it's been from this man, Yvan Muller, from 17th on the grid. He's finished in 3rd, and in terms of the championship, that's crucial. Warren Hughes behind him in 4th place, and behind him it's Alan Morrison just beating Paul O'Neill across the line. Oh, in the background there, look, Michael Bentwood sliding off almost over the grass there on the exit of the chicane. Here comes Mark Fullerlove with a chance. Oh, squeezed out there. Michael Bentwood determined to hold on to that position in class. That was 4th place in the production class, but Matt Neal's the winner in the Tourers. So Matt has now matched Yvan Muller for race wins this year on 5, but James Thompson would have liked the extra 3 points for a win. Muller went from 17th to 3rd. O'Neill dropped back on that last lap. Carl Breeze won the independence class for the 2nd time this year, while Luke Hines is another step closer to the production class title, also gaining an extra point for fastest lap. This is how they line up for the 18th round of the Green Flag MSA British Touring Car Championship, with Matt Neal on pole position, weighed down with ballast, and James Thompson eager to make up for that late pass in race 1. Muller starts 3rd in the Vauxhall, with Hughes 4th in the MG. Alan Morrison won here last year and starts 5th. Paul O'Neill is 6th for VX Racing. Tom Chilton starts 7th for Honda Racing, while Carl Breeze is hoping to win the independence class again. Rob Collard will be out to stop him, as will James Kay in the Honda and Dan Eves in the Peugeot 307, with the improving Paul Wallace next. Danny Buxton starts in 13th place, with Colin Turkington alongside in the MG after problems in race 1. Anthony Reid also has work to do from 15th. Gareth Howell is 16th in the Astra, and the 2 Protons are at the back of the Tourers. Leslie's car held together by tape after the earlier crash. Luke Hines is again on pole in the production class, but Jim Edwards has an opportunity to earn his first win of the season for Team Varta. Alan Blenko and Michael Bentwood need Luke Hines to not finish if they're to stay in the title hunt, while Mark Fullerlove and Richard Marsh will be happy to score more points. Jay Wheels has Tom Boardman alongside, and Tom is determined to do well after being pulled off the grid earlier for inoperative rear brake lights. So we're all set for battle once again. Now then, can Matt Neal make it 2 out of 2? Honda have yet to do that in the 2003 season. Away we go then. Oh, a bit of tyre smoke from Matt Neal. Not the best getaway, I don't think, this time from the Honda. No, look, James Thompson making a much better start than he did in race 1. And it's Thompson who's ahead, Muller trying to follow him, and it's Warren Hughes trying to go around the outside there in the MG, but he gets it all crossed up.
Well, there's contact there at the first corner between Matt Neal, Warren Hughes, and it's Morrison that's been flung off the road. He's on the inside, his race is run. Well, he would have had a great chance in this race, but what a reversal of fortunes. Normally it's Matt Neal that makes a good start and Thompson struggles. This time it was the other way around.
But look up front, Muller's on the attack of Thompson, the two Vauxhalls together, and Muller dives up the inside into McLean's, the same corner that Matt Neal passed James Thompson in race 1. This time without contact, Muller goes ahead. Well, there's problems there for Jim Edwards, damage done to the left front on that car, suspension damage, and because of that, not surprisingly, the safety cars come out. They'll race to the line here because they want to hold on to the position they've earned on this first lap. And as soon as they cross the line, they'll back off. It's Muller ahead of Thompson with Matt Neal, who started from pole, back down in 3rd position. 4th place for Warren Hughes and 5th place for Paul O'Neill, with Carl Breeze just behind him. Let's take another look at the start again.
Well, you can hear the wheel spin, you can see the smoke off the tyres, and it's Matt Neal that gets smoked by the two Vauxhalls, who charge ahead, chop across his nose, and then watch to his left. You've got Warren Hughes, and that's Alan Morrison. Just gets a touch from Matt, a second touch, and then something happened to Morrison. He went straight off the road.
Now this is the view from the production class car of Mark Fullerlove. Watch the BMW on the left making another good start.
Well, the BM always starts quickly with rear-wheel drive, and we're on board with Mark Fullerlove down the outside. It's the only place there's any room. He breaks round the outside, gets a little bit of room. He's got a good run now, and then bang, he's hit from the back. And that must have been Jim Edwards, which is probably the cause of his broken suspension, I suspect.
Yes, there you could just see Jim Edwards rolling into shot. Very bent left front, I'm afraid, so the end of his race. Now then, we're all ready for the race to get underway once again. Ivan Muller on the charge. Can he take the victory ahead of James Thompson? Still a long way to go in this race, of course. Matt Neal holding on in 3rd. Then it's Warren Hughes and Paul O'Neill with Carl Breeze, Anthony Reid there as well. Phil Bennett in the Proton. Both Protons went out on the first lap, remember, in the first race at Donington. Let's hope they can last a little bit longer this time. Down the hill, it's Ivan Muller, and Thompson not close enough to challenge into the old hairpin. Locks the brake, but otherwise he can't really do much yet to close up that gap. Oh, and off goes Paul Wallace, just shoots off to the side.
Well, he's parked it rather neatly, but that's the end of his race. Didn't see what happened, but clearly missed his braking point. And there's action here with Warren Hughes being muscled back by Anthony Reid and Colin Turkington, 3 abreast MGs.
Absolutely, and look who's ahead of them. Carl Breeze is suddenly ahead of all these 3 MGs and Paul O'Neill, and these 3 having a fantastic tussle. Anthony Reid gets past Hughes, Colin Turkington going with him. Something must have happened between Hughes and O'Neill on that lap, because suddenly Carl Breeze in the independence class, he's running 4th overall. Oh, and Danny Buxton's on the grass.
Yeah, Danny's been on the grass several times this weekend, but he's certainly impressed with his speed in that Peugeot. But up front, the man impressing is Ivan Muller. He really looks like he wants it. He doesn't look like the man that missed all of practice and qualifying, does he? 3rd in the first race, and now he's leading this one.
Yeah, he looks completely composed. Oh, Bennett's all sideways. There was a little contact there, I think, between him and Rob Collard. In fact, you can see tyre smoke from Rob Collard's car. Down the hill comes Ivan Muller. Classic locking up of the brake into the old hairpin there. Look, there is Collard's. Lots of tyre smoke. Damage on Howell's car as well.
Looking forward, you can see Bennett just locks up a little bit, tags the back of Collard's car, and it's just that fiberglass bodywork that's running on the side of the car.
So, problems for Collard. Meanwhile, look at Anthony Reid and Colin Turkington together here. Turkington on the inside with the advantage of the 2 MGs. Brings him up into 5th place, but Anthony Reid doesn't want to give up. He's pushing his younger teammate.
Instruction, Anthony, do not race Colin. Do not race Colin. Instruction.
He's holding me up. No, man.
Well, Anthony Reid thinks he's being held up by Colin Turkington, but the timing screens tell us differently. Colin Turkington is the fastest man on the track. He's carrying on that great form from Brands Hatch, and I think Anthony's just a bit miffed he's going quicker.
Collard has come into the pits, and this is because they're trying to get that bodywork to stop rubbing on the tyre. They've pulled it away. Oh, and in trouble, I'm afraid, is David Leslie. The mechanics worked so hard to get that car out, but it looks as though his race is run. Now, Carl Breeze running in 4th place, remember. Muller leads, but Breeze under pressure from the 2 MGs now. Oh, and squeezing past. Here comes Colin Turkington. Anthony Reid's not far behind.
Well, that just shows, doesn't it? Turkington is really aggressive. He's now up to 4th place. Poor old Carl Breeze makes one slight mistake, and immediately, as is always the way in touring cars, you let one car go through and you've got another one or two trying to get past at the same time.
But what Breeze has to remember is to protect his independent class victory, or possible victory. He's leading the class at the moment, and the 24-year-old who's changed teams during the year and really going well now in this white Vauxhall Astra doesn't want to get too involved with these guys. Here comes Reid on the attack. He's gone down the inside into Redgate, and Breeze gives him room.
Yeah, good racing, good overtaking by Anthony Reid. There's quite a late turn into Redgate. It gives plenty of room up the inside for a late braking, and clearly the MG team enjoying that one.
Now, battle further out back in the production class between Michael Bentswood and Alan Blenko. That's the battle for 3rd and 4th places in class. Meanwhile, up the hill, here comes Ivan Muller. Look how he's opened the gap up to James Thompson, and it's Matt Neal in trouble now because here comes Turkington. Turking an audacious manoeuvre to go through virtually on the grass.
Well, I don't think I've ever seen that. That MG works as well on the grass as it does on the track, but he hasn't got through yet, although he's trying very hard.
He's using every inch of tarmac and grass. A little bit of a nudge there between them. Nothing too serious, and Turkington is now into 3rd place, and Matt Neal just seems to be struggling for pace a little.
Yeah, Matt Neal held on to the Vauxhalls very well at the start of the race, but I suspect he's got some niggling little problem here. He's not got the normal pace he would have.
So back down towards the chicane, and Matt Neal's perhaps just got to look after the car and hope it makes it all the way, but Turkington really on a charge. Look at the dust through there still. Into the pits now comes Anthony Reid and Matt Neal. So early pit stops. Also already into the pits is James Thompson. He was in 2nd place, remember, to his championship rival Ivan Muller.
New tyres on that car. Good stop by BX Racing, 5.5 seconds. That's a great stop. Matt Neal's car, evidence there of the little tap with Morris at the front. That's a good stop by Honda as well.
So he gets away cleanly. He did lose a little bit of time in the first race in the pits, but it looked very even with the VX Racing crew this time. Thompson and Matt Neal rejoining the circuit, but quite a few cars have yet to make their pit stop, including, of course, the outright race leader currently. That is Ivan Muller, and Muller stays out for the moment, not choosing to come back in. He just wants to get in some quick laps. He looks pretty happy on this set of tyres, and he's worked hard from the beginning in this one.
Muller electing to go a little bit longer, which will give him fresher tyres at the end of the race. He may well need them because this race is fairly hot.
Colin Turkington, he's been charging, hasn't he? Had a problem in the first race, but he's back into the battle in this one. He was in 3rd place, remember, before he came into the pits. He comes back out, and he's still going to be behind James Thompson, but not that far behind James Thompson. And if we see the same sort of pace from Turkington in the second half of the race, running no ballast, of course, on that car after a bad result earlier, he could well put the pressure on the champion. In comes our race leader, and it's Ivan Muller. Now, he desperately needs a good stop here, of course, to try and stay in front.
Watch how late he peels into the pit box. That's the new regulation. You can't veer in, you have to peel in dramatically. Stretches that arm out, that's his relaxation mannerism. Checks the mirror, is anyone coming down the pit lane? No, go!
Great stop once again. No problems at all for Ivan Muller. Now he's just got to look over to the right as he gets on the power off the speed limiter. Who's coming down there? Nobody. Well, there's James Thompson behind him. So Muller rejoins in front effectively. 1 or 2 people still to make their pit stops, but of those that have stopped, Ivan Muller safely back out ahead of all the others.
Not much of a gap though. Don't forget he is on those cold tyres.
So Thompson may still have a chance. Meanwhile, Tom Boardman is now leading in the production class. Missed out on the first race, so determined to get back for the second one. And Tom Boardman going well in that Team Varta Peugeot 307. Just that little bit of a gap back to Luke Hines in second, who can wrap up the title with this performance. Now, here, as you said, Tim, James Thompson's got a lot closer to Ivan Muller on this lap.
Well, this is his chance. The end of the first lap, he needs to get past, but Muller's going to get the Peugeot in between them. Well, that's ruined it for Thompson. The Peugeot got right in between the two of them just when Thompson needed to attack, because by now Muller's got his tyres up to temperature and he'll be able to stay in the lead.
But look, not far behind them, Colin Turkington still there with his lights ablaze. It was Dan Eaves there, the Peugeot, that got in between them, just for the timing coming through the chicane. Also coming into the pits is Alan Morrison. You can see damage done on the left front. Let's take another look back at what happened to Bennett a moment ago.
Well, it sounds like he's just got a box of neutrals when he's gone down the gears from braking for Redgate. That sent him wide. He's gone through the gravel but managed to keep going, but could so easily have got stuck there.
Now look at this, James Thompson and Colin Turkington absolutely together now, and Turkington really putting the reigning champion under pressure, trying to go around the outside this time. We saw him go around the inside of Matt Neal earlier, now he's going around the outside, and this gives him the favoured line into McLean's.
That was a perfect move. His MG is really quick through that old hairpin, and don't his boys just love it? So he's managed to carry the momentum up. Further back, this is Warren Hughes and Matt Neal battling it out.
Yeah, this was down into the chicane just a moment ago, and Hughes took a bit of a lunge down the inside and managed to get past Matt Neal. Does seem as though Neal's struggling a little. Turkington into second place then, down towards the old hairpin. Thompson still giving you no pressure, and Turkington's gone wide there. That will cost him a little bit.
Well, he's going to get the same manoeuvre put back on him that he did to Thompson, and that's a real shame, because if he'd managed to stay in front through that section, he would undoubtedly have had a good chance to chase down after Muller, but he's really just lost it there through a little bit of over-exuberance.
So Thompson gets back in front. What a great dice this is between these two. Thompson, the experienced campaigner, the reigning champion. Turkington only in his second season in the touring class, and this is keeping everyone entertained. It's a very clean battle so far. There's been virtually no contact, and here comes Turkington again trying to get it back.
Yeah, he's going to do it this time. Don't forget, James Thompson wants this second place as much as anything. There's still a chance. Anything can happen to Muller. He will fight for every position, but great driving by Turkington. Now let's see if he can get the hammer down and get after Muller. But of course, with all their shenanigans, Muller's increased his lead.
Yes, Muller has got away up front. Turkington still has to defend from James Thompson. And look, Matt Neal's been under yet more threat from Anthony Reid, and this time Neal's brakes so late that he had no option but to take to the grass into the chicane, and that has allowed Anthony Reid to gain the position. So Matt Neal's just dropping further and further down the order. This battle for second place is still not over. James Thompson is still keeping the pressure on Colin Turkington.
This is great racing. They've given each other just enough room to race side by side round virtually all of the circuit, and it's really good to see.
Well, they're running out of time because Ivan Muller's coming down to the last corner. A couple of production class cars getting into a bit of a battle as well, over the line virtually, but it's Muller who wins race 2 at Donington. Second place is just going to go to Colin Turkington after a superb battle with James Thompson. And who's going to take fourth? Well, it looks like it's going to be Paul O'Neill just on the line. Paul O'Neill holds on to fourth place ahead of Alan Morrison and Tom Chilton. Matt Neal dropping back in the latter stages. But it's Ivan Muller's day here at Donington. Welcome back to Donington Park, where Ivan Muller has put all of the hassles of Brands Hatch behind him and emerged with a win in the second race of the day. Race engineer John Waterman congratulates Ivan on his 6th race win of the year, and it could be his most crucial. Colin Turkington is a useful buffer between Muller and James Thompson in terms of scoring points, and Paul O'Neill and Matt Neal continue their seesaw battle for points. Carl Breeze has taken a double victory for GA Motorsport in the independence class, and by finishing runner-up in the race in production, Luke Hines has won the championship, despite Tom Boardman's 5th win of the season in the Team Varta Peugeot 307.
This victory is special because all the weekend we were frustrated with my team. We were looking the other one drive. We couldn't work, and qualifying we had a small problem. And of course I'm pleased for Vauxhall because we won the title with the manufacturer. But again, I will never say enough. I'm pleased for my guys' work on my car because they should be on the podium with me.
A great race, enjoyed it thoroughly. Obviously, first set of tyres, Ivan initially we were a little bit quicker, and Ivan just eked away. But I think that's a legacy of them having so many new tyres to run. You know, obviously we're not doing any of the qualifying or practice.
The last few laps, I was catching James a wee bit every lap, and my car was a wee bit stronger around the first half of the lap, and he was a bit quicker the second half of the lap, so it took me a few laps just to line him up, but I pinpointed my move and I got him.
I was running 4th overall for a lot of the time, and in the end I had to be a little bit sensible and try not to hold the works drivers up, because if you do hold them up, they'll have you off the track. So I think I flagged O'Neill through and Hughes, and then just sat behind him and was able to keep with him.
Then last few laps, I didn't know what to do. Just thought, right, keep it on the circuit, and did all the procedures, and I was still sticking in.
Luke's done a great job. He's had speed there. His starts were dodgy at the beginning of the year. He sorted those out finally. Now he's getting off the line all right. You know, there was a great way to win it with a first and a second. Fantastic.
I don't know what is the point difference, but it looks more on my way, but he's not finished for sure.
Well, this is the difference, Ivan. It's 29 points between him and James Thompson. 15 points for a win, remember. Ivan in good shape for the last races at Oulton Park. Battle for third between Matt Neal and Paul O'Neill will go to the wire. Meanwhile, Colin Turkington has teammate Warren Hughes firmly in sight for 7th. Luke Hines' first season driving tin tops has earned him his 2nd motor racing title in a row, and along with Alan Blenko, he's earned Barwell Motorsport the production team's championship. Michael Bentwood could still snatch 2nd in class at Oulton Park. VX Racing has seen all 3 of its drivers win races this year, and once again slick pit work helped them on their way at Donington. They outscored the opposition by 10 points, and they'll be looking to rub salt in the wounds at the final event. Vauxhall are rightly proud to have won a hat-trick of manufacturers' titles, having dominated the standings since the inception of the current rules in 2001. In the independents category, we now have a 3-way battle for the championship, with Collard only 1 point ahead of Kay and Breeze close behind.